Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a home day edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing. Do business with someone you know. 364-1007. 364-1007. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, y'all. Good morning. Hope your Wednesday's off to a great start. Pels play tonight at the Smoothie King Center against Orlando. I'll be in that number. Looking forward to it. Actually, do my show from the SKC today. Friends over at Action Industries were kind enough to offer. They have a suite at Smoothie King Center, so they were kind enough to offer me tickets, and so I'll pop down, do my show at Smoothie King Center, and hang out and watch the game tonight. So hopefully, it's a nice bounce back for the Pelicans. Other than that, a relatively quiet sports night in these parts. LSU baseball and Vanderbilt get started with their series on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday series again, big one for LSU. But what I have there in the description today is we got the TV ratings in for LSU and Iowa, and my goodness, they didn't just break the TV viewership record; they shattered the TV viewership record. And on Monday before the game, when we were previewing it with one of the writers from Iowa, he suggested that he thought this game would break the record last year's Game Set, which got 9.9 million viewers on ABC. And I disagreed with him, and obviously he was right, I was wrong. But the premise was, remember, last year was on a Sunday. It was the championship game, number one. It was on a Sunday, so weekend more people are more likely to find a TV. Although it wasn't in the sort of the middle of the day, kind of like early afternoon, which a lot of people on Sunday might be out and about doing things, as opposed to like Monday night being at home. But but it was also on ABC, and it was the championship game. And I know sometimes we don't think of it in these terms, but the majority of America still has cable. While you continue to see cord cutting go up, the majority of America still has cable. And that means when you go on your cable guide, and a lot of people will still scan. If you go to scan channels, you're just going to start at like channel 3 and look at your guide. Well, ABC and Baton Rouge channel 5. So for a lot of places, it's easy to find those network channels more so than even cable channels. So even ESPN. So yes, the fact that it was on ABC last year, Caitlin Clark was coming off the national semifinal against South Carolina, where she went off and upset Carolina and all that sort of stuff. And it had so much pub around that game. And then the game obviously delivered. It was sort of the perfect storm, but clearly the appeal of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all the Kim Mulkey stuff brought massive amounts of casual viewers. Remember, last year, championship game did 9.9 million viewers. This year's LSU-Iowa game did 12.3 million viewers. That's stunning to see that kind of a number. Not only is it the most watched women's basketball game ever, it is also the most watched basketball game on ESPN ever. And that part is stunning, because that's men or women's. That was the most on ESPN. Now, you've had tournament games on CBS, et cetera, that have drawn a bigger audience, NCAA men's tournament games. But the most watched college basketball game on ESPN ever. So, I think the real big question here is with respect to, the women's game is, is that something that will continue to grow the game? This was crazy. The viewership record was more than the final round of the Masters last year. The Purdue-Tennessee Elite Eight game got 10.4 million. It was more than 4 of the 5 games from the NBA Finals last year, and it was a larger viewership than every game of the World Series last year. I mean, and by a big margin too. So, like the NBA Finals last year, averaged 11.64 million. In 21, it was 9.9 million. In 2020, the NBA Finals averaged 7.45 million. I mean, 12. I'm just giving you context. 12.3 million is a massive number for any sporting event. You know, especially a a, a women's basketball event, which has never seen an audience like that. So anyway, all that to say, I'm curious if this is the the magic bird moment for men's that was for men's basketball back in '79 in that Final Four, which so many people credit with really thrusting men's college basketball into the mainstream. And or is this just a a spark that ignited, went boom, and then settles when next year you won't have Caitlin Clark in women's college basketball. Presumably Angel Reese, will go pro as well. Can the sport continue to use this momentum to continue to grow? But it just goes to show you, we love stars in our sports. We love star power. It's not necessarily the teams or the brands. It's the stars, especially in basketball. It's like when you have LeBron or Steph Curry in an NBA Finals. That's going to do better than Nikola Jokic, as great as he is. That's how it goes. But anyway, congrats to the ladies. A massive, massive number. Okay, let's say some good mornings. Y'all do me a favor. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. We appreciate you. Tim Gotro, Wendell Norman, James McKinney, Larry Garner, Matt Plavidal. What up, my dude? Brant Roban. Morning, Scone. I don't know how much more I can take LSU extended innings runs caused by errors, walks, and the amount of zeros mounting with runners in scoring position on offense. Please make it stop. Tigers. Absolute must-win series this weekend. Had a really good conversation yesterday, Brant, with Todd Walker. If you missed it, I would highly recommend you go check it out. AFR On Demand. I actually included it in my LSU Daily pod, which is live. So any podcast app, just search LSU Daily. Please do that anyway. I'd appreciate it greatly. Great convo with Todd yesterday about what's going wrong and some ideas of how to fix it. And I think the thing that stood out to me more than anything with what Todd said was, especially offensively, is how he felt like if he took a day off or 2 days off, he completely lost his rhythm as a hitter. Like, he needed to play every day, be in the lineup every day. I think that's probably something that's happening right now with a lot of these LSU hitters, as Jay is trying to find, in Major League Baseball, if you have 162 games, you can let a player ride a 2 for 30 slump. In college baseball, when you have 56 games and 30 league games, there has to be more urgency. So if you have somebody who has a really bad weekend, especially if they're not an established player like Tommy White or Jared Jones or Travinsky, you're probably looking for another option, and that's kind of what Jay's doing. So he's pushing every button, trying to find a spark somewhere. And my guess is he's going to go with the young guys, the young, hungry guys, and let them take their lumps and hope they grow. So I think you're going to see more Ashton Larson and Ethan Fry. And, surprised Milam didn't play the other day, but it was an opportunity to get Ben DePolt in. But I think that's probably what you're going to see. Ryan Pike, so do you use Bitmart or something else? So, Ryan, I mean, listen, I use a lot of different exchanges. I have used Bitmart. I have also used centralized exchanges like Coinbase and Crypto.com just for the ease of use. Depending on what token I'm buying, there's dexes I use like Pancake Swap. So it really depends on what you're buying. That was a crypto question, by the way. Jason Horn, good morning, Matt. Thoughts on everyone making a huge deal out of Lay not being on the court for the anthem? Kicks of the day, hashtag shoe game, hashtag Team Drew. Not wearing my shoes yet, but I'm gonna have some Jordan Low ones on, some red, white, and blue ones. Going to the Pels game, man. Actually, the ones that have a red, white, and blue and have some gold in them as well, so they're perfect for the Pels. The anthem thing, would I love to see LSU on the floor for the anthem? Yes. There's plenty of sports where teams aren't on the floor. Like LSU football is not on the field for the national anthem. The band plays the pregame salute, they play the alma mater, they play the national anthem, and then the team comes out. I think it was a bad look that Iowa stayed on the floor and LSU didn't. Whether that was intentional or not, I don't know. Kim Mulkey says it's part of their routine. I'll tell you also that it hasn't always been that way, even since Kim's been at LSU. Her first year, they were out there for the anthem. So at Baylor, her teams were out there for the anthem. So I think people are right to ask the question, what's going on and why, but I don't have the answer. And quite honestly, I am just, I don't do social issues, y'all. I understand sometimes sports bleeds into that. But I want to talk about sports. I don't want to talk about the national anthem. I want to talk about sports. Let's see. Weston Weaver, good morning. Juan, good morning. Football schedules used to be planned many years ahead of time, not so much anymore. When will we have a set SEC schedule? Well, Juan, the reason you don't have a long-term schedule right now for the SEC is we don't know what the format's going to be. That's the problem. So, we know the 24 and 25 SEC schedules, right? So the 24 schedule's set, and then the league announced, hey, we're going to keep the same format in 25 and just flip home and away on the opponents, which actually works out really well for LSU because you get Vanderbilt twice, right? You play a home and away with Vandy, and you don't have to play Georgia. So starting in 26, it really depends on if they're going to go to 9 league games and then what the format looks like. But that all depends on TV, as we've talked about a bunch. Because here's the thing. If the SEC goes to a 9th game, you are guaranteeing half of your league another loss. I'm just saying it's math. You add a game, a conference game, you are guaranteeing half of your league another loss. So what does that mean, and what does that do for your playoff hopes? Now, because we have an expanded playoff, I think that impact is less. But also, if you add another league game, you are giving your TV partners 9 more. Not 9. You're adding another game for each team, so I guess it would be 16 team league, 8 more league games, right? So, am I doing that right? Would it be 8 more league games? Because everyone will play a 9th game, and it's half the league, basically, right? So you'd be adding 8 more SEC games. You'd be giving them 8 more opportunities for inventory. And if you're the SEC, you're going to want to be compensated for that. So you want ESPN, your TV partner, in good faith, to come say, okay, we'll increase our package by X because you're adding that game. And unless and until ESPN is willing to do that, I can't see the SEC saying, we're just going to add another game and hand half our league an extra loss. And not be compensated for it. So I think there's just some things like that have to be worked out. Please smash the like button if you're there on YouTube. Brett Gidry, morning. What are your thoughts on the governor's remarks? Sorry, someone just asked that. Rex, good morning. Kirk Taylor, Jacob Yetu, good morning. I'm watching from Sacramento. Hope you have a good day. You too, Jacob. Thanks for watching. Early out there, 5:45 in the morning. Casey Smith, any game coin updates? I did send my info to beta test. Awesome. Hopefully I get picked. Fantastic. Yeah, that was the big announcement earlier this week, is that they are selecting several people to beta test the platform. And I can't wait. Casey, I hope you get picked as well. And I can't wait to hear your feedback. I think this is exactly what's happening, is what has been promised all along, that the platform would be built, it would be launched, and it is. I think, 3 years ago, naturally, at the height of the crypto bull market, people heard of people and friends buying game coin and seeing the price of the token go way up, and there was the FOMO and the frenzy around crypto, and a lot of people didn't even know either what they were buying or um, anything about the project or about crypto. I mean, there are crypto projects that have been in, on the blockchain that have been in development since 2008 that still aren't launched. So you know, I you have to have the long-term vision and understanding what the platform was intended to be, what it will be, and it's awesome to see it coming together still in a relatively short amount of time. I know it doesn't feel like that for some, but um, you just got to be patient. And that's what I would tell anybody. Like before you would, I mean, it's just isn't. This was not financial advice, but it's the same with the stock market. Like just understand what you're buying, like any investment, or anything. Just understand what you're buying. Samuel Smith, morning, Matt. Did you see Jay Johnson's new cell phone rule around the field? Goodness, he's having to treat them like high schoolers. I think I said it yesterday on AFR. I think he's got a team that that loves winning more than they hate losing. And one common denominator that I've always found among the super elite coaches and athletes is they just hate losing. Like, think about Jordan in The Last Dance. I mean, the way that, what fueled him. The best hate losing almost more than they love winning. And I don't know that that's the case for this LSU baseball team right now. Matt, did Reese go pro? She hasn't announced. Patrick, good morning, Matt. What do you think about NC State's run in the AC and NCAA tournament? Moreover, isn't it wild that Alabama has lower betting odds to win it all than NC State? Well, that's just because of who you're playing, right? You can't win it all if you don't get to the championship game, and Alabama's got to play UConn, and they're a big underdog against UConn. That's why. So, no, I don't think that that's wild. But, yeah, good for NC State, man. First time since 83. Of course, the Jimmy V Final Four. And I think it's pretty cool that you do have some notable college basketball programs that are in the Final Four for the first time in a while. So it's not like you have Cinderella stories. I guess you could label it that, but like NC State's won a national championship. Purdue's been to the Final Four. They've had great players, and it's a dramatically different feel. It's good to have new blood, but it's a dramatically different feel than a year ago when you were talking about like San Diego State and FAU and all that stuff. Greg Duga, why is the media whole pushing the anthem non-story? Again, guys, I don't care about the anthem thing. I want to do sports. I don't want to talk about national anthem. I don't want to talk about social issues. I want to talk about sports. AJ Holland, Gamalgan, beta testing, one step closer to launch. Is this testing for bugs, content creation, or both? Bugs in application for sure, but then based on feedback, obviously there could be edits. But there's one really, I keep telling you this, there's one really cool function that I'm hoping they let all the beta testers use, which when it comes out, I can't wait to tell you because it's really cool. Damon Gilmore, Deborah Coward, good morning. Guy Brooks, home. Glenn Thomasy, Matt, I can listen to talk for hours. Respectfully, Glenn Thomas. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate you for being there, man. Awesome. Quentin Breakbill, James Avery, Jeff McKiffin, Woodoop, Trivia Carter, Guy Morgan. Let's see, Brett. We should take a look at the viewership numbers after the Final Four. Was it just Iowa, LSU, or really women's basketball? Well, I think the bigger question there, Brett, was certainly it was LSU, Iowa. It was that dynamic because even Iowa's numbers up to this point didn't match that. And then I think the Caitlin Clark dynamic will be the bigger telltale, right? How much of it was LSU, Iowa, the dynamic of a year ago, Angel Reese? How much of it was people were coming to watch Caitlin Clark? And I'm sure that's a big part of it, no doubt, that people want to see Caitlin Clark. But certainly the dynamic of the rematch of the championship game carried a ton of that weight because of everything that happened after the game. And look, I was doing an interview yesterday on WNSP in Mobile, and they were asking me about the game, and the host kind of like tap danced around. And it's like, well, and it was sort of like there was a, I don't know if it he mentioned, like what role race might have played in it. I said, look, don't tap dance around that because it doesn't have to be a negative conversation. And the point being, not that it was racially fueled, only that there was representation. And that's not a bad thing to talk about because I think any young person who might watch a sporting event wants to feel like, oh, I can be. It's one of the reasons. It's one of the great appeals of a guy like Steph Curry, because Steph Curry is, while he's 6'2", which is big by an average human standards. It's small by NBA standards, and he's skinny and frail. He's the greatest shooter we've ever seen. So there's a like when I watch, if you watch Shaquille, it's like, okay, I can never be that because I'm never going to be 7'1", 320 pounds, right? I'm never going to be Kevin Durant because I'm never going to be 6'11". So you look for representation in sports. It's why like a lot of people gravitate toward Jose Altuve or baseball players in general because they look more normal, average size. And so when you look at LSU Iowa, there was a ton of representation. You had young and you had old, and you had Iowa, which is a predominantly white team, and LSU, which the starters, if not all, because Haley, of course, are predominantly black. So it doesn't matter, and then you have the entire country represented, the Midwest, the South, the East, the West, POA, who's Polynesian. So like you had tons of representation on the floor. So no matter what, gender, nationality, I shouldn't say nationalities, they're all Americans, but maybe not all. There might have been some foreign players, but there was representation in the game, which brings so many different collective groups of people to their TV sets because there's intrigue, because they feel like they're represented, there's nothing wrong with that. It's no different than if you're like when I watch MMA and I see Dustin Poirier fight in a UFC main event, guy from Louisiana. I'm going to be interested because I can relate, right? Bob Poole, Kelly Presley, Brant Roban, LSU baseball is closer to the halfway mark than I realized. It's close to crunch time on shaping the postseason. These boys better wake their butts up. Let's see. Brian Broom, good morning. Brent St. Germain, what's going on? Rick Hess, Ronnie Duga. Good morning, Ronnie. Hope your mom's doing well, Ronnie. Hope y'all are on the up and up, man. Give us an update if you think about it. Hey, Becky, good morning. Tiger Diver. Jason Trump, let's see. Yeah, Chicks LSU basketball team are scumbags. No respect for the national anthem. Okay, we're going to go ahead and not allow you here. That's just not acceptable on Morning Scone. Jerry, good morning. I think tonight's Pels game is a must-win if they want to stay out of a play-in game. I don't know that it's a must-win, Jerry. Look, you're right. It's a home game, and it's a game that you should win. Let's see. LSU is. Let me get you the line on this game tonight, real quick. Pels are. Come on, load. Here we go. Pels 3.5 at home tonight. But Jerry, I talked about this yesterday on AFR. Here's why I don't think tonight is necessarily a must-win, but I still think it favors the Pels. If you look up remaining strength of schedule in the NBA, again, I need to learn how to pull up screens on here. I wish it'd let me share a screen on here. I don't know if it does. I need to look into that a little bit. Anyway, when you look at remaining strength of schedule, okay, the Pelicans' remaining strength of schedule is 21st in the NBA. The most difficult remaining strength of schedule, number one, toughest remaining strength of schedule, Phoenix. Who's right behind you in the standings? Phoenix. Sacramento, who's one spot behind Phoenix, fourth toughest remaining strength of schedule. So I don't know that I necessarily buy that this is a must-win. And also, for what it's worth, the Clippers, who the Pels are chasing, 7th toughest remaining strength of schedule. Pels 21st. So the Pels, by far, among all the contenders I just discussed, have the easiest remaining strength of schedule. So I'm with you that you would love to see him go out and win tonight. And this feels like a gettable. I mean, you're a home favorite, and you need to bounce back after an ugly game the other night where you allowed Devin Booker to put a 50 burger on you again. But it works for it works for shouldn't say it works. It favors the Pels. You'd love to get today. Oh my God, Drew's awake. Gary Petrie, good morning. Christian, morning, Matt. Can you think of a local or regional team that has caused more media circus this year than women's basketball? Everything this team does causes an uproar. It's ridiculous and comical. Sometimes I think we see that a lot around individuals, not necessarily around teams as a whole. And when you get painted with a certain brush, that's just then how you're viewed, and people are looking to magnify anything. Odell, I think, was a great example of that for a while he was in New York, like the proposing to the kicking net, and then, kind of crying on the sideline when then anytime he'd throw his hands in the air, he'd loaf on a play. All of that was magnified. When people do that every play, but it's just when you get painted with a certain brush and labeled a certain way, everything that supports that gets magnified. And I think that's something fans do, like we talk about in baseball, right? Like if you've convinced yourself that a player is an awful hitter, they strike out all the time, you'll ignore this is a better one, bunting. The one time a sacrifice bunt will work, meaning you advance a runner and the runner eventually scores. My Twitter filled with people. Bunt. I'm like, are you ignoring the 99 times out of 100 where you sacrifice an out to advance a runner and you don't score? So it's really just about narratives. Jay Borden, Bubba Smith, Gorilla, Steve Menard, Glenn Laurie. Morning, Matt. What's your thoughts on the new NFL kickoff rule? I love it, Glenn. I think we're actually going to have kickoffs again, which are an impactful part of the game, and I'd rather see that. This past year, the NFL had an all-time low, a 25% kickoff return rate. So, yes, I want to see kickoffs return. So I love it. I think they did a great job. Let me rephrase. I think the XFL did a great job, and the NFL just adopted the XFL's rule. Jim Arsenault, some person, what's going on? Bailey C., I think you've been dead on about the Saints. Mickey is the trust fund kid causing trouble, knowing he'll never be broke. Bill Caffey, Henry Heisenberg. Angel Reese was okay with being the villain when things were good, but plays victim when they lose. Rubs me the wrong way. That's like Richard Sherman or Dylan Brooks looking for sympathy. Henry, when did Angel Reese play the villain? That's where I'm going to disagree with you. Like, when did Angel Reese play the villain? I mean, I would say I've had far more interactions with the members of that team than you, I'm assuming. I mean, or are you just looking at one "you can't see me" moment from a year ago? Which, because I can point out dozens or hundreds of opportunities where she encouraged her teammates, helped her teammates or opponents up off the floor, was a team leader, vocal leader in huddles and locker rooms and timeouts, played the other night on a bum ankle, played the last month on a bum ankle. Like, I can point out way more instances of Angel Reese being a great teammate, a hard worker, good player, but people painted her as the villain because she did this to the All-American girl from the Midwest after she beat her in the national championship game. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark did the exact same. I mean, that was the storyline last year. Remember, Caitlin Clark did the exact same thing earlier in the tournament when they won a game. And so that's why Angel did it. She did it to Caitlin Clark because Caitlin Clark did it to somebody else. So why are you paying Angel Reese as a villain? And I don't think she was looking for sympathy the other day. She was answering a question. Lee Hunter Matt, 27 QB Peyton Houston out of Shreveport is top in that class. What are your thoughts? Never seen him. I have no idea. I not really a recruiting guy. So that's why I get Shay on the show to talk about recruiting, and I sure don't know anything about the 27 class. Irfan Sayad, good morning, Cajun country. Getting fed up with the armchair coaches and players. People saying Mulkey and Johnson do not know what they are doing is really getting old. Are people saying that Mulkey and Johnson don't know what they're doing? Like, who has said that? I don't know if I've seen anybody say that Mulkey and Johnson don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're both championship winning coaches. But coaches also aren't infallible. Like, coaches make mistakes. Oh, it is 8 o'clock. Baby Bobby, good morning. Found my ride or die partner. What will be this year's rally possum? Don't know. Tommy Primo, Eric Hart, good morning. What's gotten into the Yankees? They played late last night, and Jimmy gave out Arizona. And so I didn't stay up and watch the game, to be very candid with you. Oh, they lost 7-0. I was about to say, okay, good. I hate to say good, but excuse me. But so they're 5-1. I mean, I guess, is it a good? I don't know, Eric. I don't know if that's a reaction to last night's game, losing 7-0 Arizona, or that they had started 5-0. I mean, shoot, I hope it's sign of great things to come this year. Philip Streva, Leon Williams, what's going on? Let's see. Hey, Eric, must have missed some big news. What happened with the Hudco stuff? So we are rebranding. So Hudco North is going to continue to operate as their Hudco, but me, Tilly, Terrio, Joe Morales, our whole group down here that's been Hudco South, we're rebranding. That's essentially it. So we will have some news for you soon. Pretty exciting, actually. Prods up 96. Ryan Slayton watching in Glendive, Montana. Okay. Brandon Ray, squeeze plays the only time you should bunt, and that didn't work this last weekend as well. But I have said it before, Brandon. I'm okay bunting for a hit or bunting to score a run. So if you're I would trade an out for a run, and I would bunt for a hit. You should never trade an out to advance a runner. It's statistically, there is no circumstance, and this isn't me guessing. Like, this is all the analytics people who have done all of the number crunching. There is no situation where exchanging an out to advance a runner increases your run scoring probability in whatever circumstance. You could have a runner on second base with nobody out. If you bunt them and now it's third base with one out, your run scoring probability is less third base one out than second base no out. So it's not to say you won't ever get that runner home. And look, you could end up hitting a ground ball that advances the runner or a sac fly that advances the runner. Same thing. But the point remains, mathematically, there is no probability where advancing or exchanging an out to advance a runner increases your run scoring probability. None. There isn't a circumstance. So while bunting may feel like the right thing to do, like, it is proven statistically, like, it is not mathematically the right percentage play. Jacob Willis, Von Bluesman, Michael Cook. All right, we're done. Thanks for being here. As always, shout out to Brock. You need North Pete, just go to Brock. If you need a roof, you know what to do. Give us a shout. Same number still. 364-1007. 364-1007. All right, LSU Daily is live. We'll see you for AFR 3. Peace. I'm out of here.